Okay, as far as the water tower is concerned, Ray and I were just talking. I got a copy of that map that he had sketched on, and looks like some of the lines are already in place that we had initially talked about. You know, those additional lines last month. So it's obviously going to change, you know, the numbers as far as the possible costs, if that's the way that we're going to go with it. I usually figure $25 a lineal foot for the 6-inch water line. So what were we just talking about? 500 lineal feet maybe? Yeah. Because most of that is already in place now. And the stuff that he's already, we were just going off of information that we had talked about initially, and he wasn't sure on some of the numbers. So let's say another 500 lineal feet. You're talking a little. Come on, Ray, help me out. What's 26? What's 25 times 500? 12,500. Thanks. And I'm supposed to be an engineer. Wait a minute, where's my calculator? Yeah. So anyway, I think last time when we had talked about it, it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,000 lineal feet, 1,200 lineal feet. But a lot of that looks like it's already in place. So, as far as that is concerned, I think it's obviously going to be a plus. He was also talking about a couple of gas stations that were there that are obviously no longer in place, and possibly having underground storage tanks, you know, the gasoline storage tanks in the area, down by the shop on 71 there.
The tanks have been removed, but
they're still looking, DNR's looking at them,
yeah,
from what you were saying. Now that might affect the alignment on that line if it comes out, that line that we're talking about, maybe replacing along 71 from the shop and the water plant. Because he thinks that's a 4-inch line, like we had talked about last month. It would be something that would be a constriction zone coming out of the water plant. If it's going to dump into, it's going to upsize to a 6-inch line. You know, it's something that might be worth replacing. It's certainly going to increase the flow out of the plant into the system. If there are problems with these underground tanks, or lack of, since they're gone, that might change the alignment and it might change the material. The way that I'm usually figuring it, it's all PVC now. It's a lot more user-friendly, I guess, so to speak, and it's a lot more resistant to the corrosion from the ground. So if we have to change that, we would change it to something cast iron. Because and this was about a year ago, we did one project that was running through one of these plumes, and they were okay with putting cast iron in. But there were rumors that they were going to stop doing that as well, because the petroleum, gasoline, oil, that sort of thing, it has a tendency to break down plastic. So with these plumes, if you put it into the plume, eventually it's just going to wear through the plastic. What they're talking about now, the gaskets in the cast iron, it could also attack those. So shifting the alignment maybe across the street, across the highway, wouldn't be that much of a change, I don't think. I'm going to jump on the web first thing tomorrow morning. What would we do without the World Wide Web? Boy, I wish I would have been one of the guys who came up with that. But I'm going to check and see what I can find out as far as what studies are going on for these right now, which direction the plumes are going. Because when it leaks into the ground, it has a tendency to plume out. If you've ever spilled oil on water, you kind of you'll see what I mean. You know, it kind of runs in one direction. So it's going to depend on which direction that plume's going. Hopefully it's going to the east, so we can avoid it. But I'm going to get on the web tomorrow. I'm going to find out. DNR has a site where they list all this stuff. And as far as what studies are underway, what studies are complete.
When you're saying that would go across to the north side where the old park used to be then?
Yeah. Yeah, that would actually be to the west. To the west of 71, just coming right across 71 here. But right now, there was an old gas station right here, and one I think right across the street. Is that right? You're close to me, right across the street.
No, right here is actually the old Sinclair station, not Sinclair, Standard station.
Right, right. So what they're worried about is that they're doing a plume study, or they pulled the tanks, but those tanks might have been leaking or were leaking. So what they're doing is they're studying which direction that's flowing, and that plume is going.
So in other words, you're going this way, right?
Possibly. That would be it. And again, it's going to depend on, if that plume is kind of, if it, say this is the Sinclair station, if that plume comes down this direction, because they'll typically, shape the teardrop, that sort of thing.
It's a standard station.
Right. Then, this area, it's going to be narrower. Well, chances are it's going to be narrower, so maybe if we bump the alignment across the street, then we'd be all right.
But there's a DX station across the street.
That's another one that we have to look at. We might have, and it's better, it's like I told Ray earlier, it's a lot better that we caught this now instead of getting into the design and turning the plans and then them saying, guys, wait a second, you have this here and this here. So another possibility that we were talking about is instead of coming anywhere near these, we might just jump it right across here, come along, this is the inflow from the wells.
Yeah.
If we come along that line, this is all 6-inch line already, we just tie right in there. It really wouldn't add any pipe length to it. So that may avoid it altogether. So, but again, tomorrow I'm going to go in and I'm going to take a look and see what DNR has on this. So I can kind of make a little bit better judgment as far as what, maybe we're not going to replace that line at all. That's obviously, this is kind of making a jump to a conclusion here, that if you do decide to replace that line, this is what the possibilities are.
Talking about is this one right here?
The one actually right up at the plant fence.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, this line right here.
Oh,
okay. The water plant's right here, and this line, Ray thinks it's a 4-inch, right?
Well, from what I think, it comes out 6-inch, but I think it
Next down.
4.
Yeah, and then it goes to a 4, then comes back up to a 6. It was just something that was never replaced. So we would be, one of the areas we were talking about was just replacing that line there, just upsizing it to a 6. Because it's a constriction zone. So it reduces your flow through into the system. So another area that he was talking about, and when we had initially talked, we thought that maybe this line along Maple Street was what, 2-inch?
Yeah.
So there is a 2-inch line there, but there is also a 6-inch line there. So when I came to you last month and said, okay, we're going to have, we think this is a 2-inch line. When they reach it and dig it up, if it is 2-inch, we'll replace it with a 6-inch. Well, that's going to save 500 feet or 400 feet along. So what we were thinking is tying these lines together. This 6-inch to this 6-inch. So that's another area that we were talking about. I think those are the only 2 areas, is that right?
Yeah.
So, and the benefits of it is it's going to increase the flow. It's not going to increase the pressure vents, so you still won't be able to take a shower up on your second floor. See, I remember that. No. See, I remember that. But that's going to be taken care of when the tank comes in. You'll probably have...
Well, this is being taped, so everyone thinks...
Well...
This whole project being done for Ben Davis.
That is not the case.
Thank you.
Just trying to help. You'd also talked about that line along tennis court, possibly replacing that 2-inch there.
And we don't know what that is yet either, so.
I'm talking about, that's not showing on this. It's not showing on this, it's right here, it's up in the school. That's 4-inch line.
Those are all 4-inch.
Yeah.
The green ones are all 4-inch.
The blue is all 6-inch.
And the red is...
The red is, it's either the replacement, this is the stuff that we were talking about replacing. But there's a little bit of red right here. He's got about 3 blocks of it, and it's like 1.5 inches.
Oh, I see your color.
So, yeah. This is what Ray drew up, and I'll transfer it over onto this actual drawing, and I'll give Ray a couple full-size copies of it. So with that 1.5 inch, that's down there on Cross Street, and we're going to replace that one down here with a 6-inch angle. So if we're going to add 500 feet, we call it 12,000 to the project. So maybe a little bit more than that. I'll have to go in and figure
the initial footage or linear feet of 6-inch? Was it this 5,000?
I think it was a little bit more than that.
980?
That sounds about right. It was about 6,000 feet.
That's what it says here. But you're saying we're gonna,
Yeah, 59.
we're gonna jump that to 12 actually?
No, it'll add about another 500.
You're adding just that, the dollar amount.
Right. The dollar amount would be another 12,000 on top of that 12,005. And that's again if it's 500 feet. I figure about $25 a foot on that. So that includes trenching, installation, and material. So I've already contacted 2 construction companies for the water tower. So, and I got the name for a third. I haven't been able to contact them. I actually just I'm going to contact them tomorrow and give them just kind of a rundown. This is 125,000 gallons. It's 125 feet high. It's so high to the water line, so we can make sure we maintain pressure. It's also rough estimates, until we get the plan and the specs to them and all the details. They obviously won't be able to give us a solid number.
So the schedule would be to replace the lines before we get the tower up?
Ideally, they could go at the same time. So, something, they could replace the line before the tower. The tower is going to be what would probably take the longest, because they'll get all the materials out here, they'll fabricate it, and then they'll erect it. It won't take long to erect it, it's going to take a lot of time to fabricate.
So that in the plant,
it depends. Sometimes they'll bring it out in sections and they'll actually fabricate it on site.
oh really?
They'll fabricate the bowl or the ball part of it on site, and the tower comes in, they'll put the column together, and then just put the ball up on top. So the power lines we've already talked about, right? But they're already been in contact with the collector and everything about that, and they're going to go ahead and it won't take much to move it. It's going to be, I think he said $1,500 or something like that. They'll just bury the dead end of the primary and then bring the secondary. They'll leave it up in the air, so it's not going to be a problem with the erection of the tower. So, because that was my biggest concern. I certainly don't want to be hitting steel against an electric wire. They've all changed that collector very well. So, plans as far as that's concerned, I've got all the sheets pretty much laid out. I obviously don't have anything as far as call-outs or, until we, get the design finalized, so to speak. Whether or not we want to have this line or just, mix it and go here in the plan. So, in my opinion, I think that replacing that line down by the water plant's a good idea. Because again, it's a conscription. So, but it's not up to me. And the plans are going to be, they'll fall together pretty quickly. I'm going to call Iowa 1 call. I'm going to have them come out and mark all the utilities. Then I'll have my surveyors come down. We're going to do the open site up by the church. And then we're going to do all those utilities along all this water line. So when I put it in there, I'm going to actually put all the lines on the plans. To at least let the contractor know, hey, there's something here, you need to find out where it is. So then the specs go out to bid. It's all a process. It's like everything.
You want this?